Alright, so here we are again. I've got my second prototype build for the Savi's Workshop lightsaber. It's going to be a custom hilt. What I've been working on is moving the magnetic reed switch that is here, wiring into the PCB that's inside of this portion of the saber's hilt, and moving it up to the top. The one thing I haven't liked, as I've said, with the Savi's Workshop lightsabers is that the activation switch is right here in the middle. So we'll go ahead and assemble this one. This is the standard Savi's Workshop lightsaber hilt. This is what I got when I built mine at Savi's Workshop about 2 years ago. Pretty easy assembly. I'm really happy with what I've got. They're very sturdy. They're pretty heavy. They've got a lot of customization in them. This is Eternal Nature, or Elemental Nature, excuse me. Really like the looks of this one. Like the feel of the leather. Like the look of the bone. So if there's the sound we're looking for. Makes the sound that there's no blade installed. And that's the assembly of the Savi's Workshop lightsaber hilt. Straight from Savi's Workshop. Completely stock. So this is what I worked with. This is 1 1/4 inch clear PVC tubing. This is the modified chassis. I've got these wires running into the PCB down here. I'll add that in a second. I'll get the spare PCB board that I have and show you where I'm wiring that into, where I've soldered that in. This has just been machined on the outside to bring down some of the diameter. So all I've been doing, I slide it in. As you see, I took off the little crystal window glass up here. Put a crystal in first. Slides in. Little snug, that's fine, that's how I want it. I don't want the chassis moving around on the inside. I've got holes drilled right here that will align with 2 of these holes. There's 8 of them total, 4 for each of the top and bottom sections. I can rotate that around. It was nice using the clear because I could see through and actually use that as a little bit of a window to know exactly where I needed to drill these holes. These are the same screws that came out of it. Screw them in. That holds it on. That holds the chassis inside of the PVC. Here's the switch that I've worked on. If you watched my other video, you'll know that one of the issues I did have was that I had to double click the switch to get the saber to activate and deactivate. So what I found was on that PCB is that PCB is actually looking for a high voltage signal, high, probably 3.5 volts, to activate and deactivate the saber. So I've got a couple of small brass press-in fittings at the emitter side and at the battery side to hold the end cap, hold the battery cap and the emitter cap on. So here are those brass fittings. It's just a threaded brass bushing that slides in there. I've taken the battery and I've actually machined this out so the battery fits inside. It's got a couple of the original screws in here. I'm going to replace those with probably set screws so they're not seen as much. Not sure about that yet. I might leave those like that little bit of color, but that's okay. That's still a decision that's going to be made. And that slides in just like it would on the Savi's hilt. There's that same sound that we normally hear. I do like that you can see through this. Again, it's clear, so it shows that really nice. I like to see that. One of the other things that I'm going to work on is getting this to be, getting the LED light to light up the kyber crystal whenever the blade is activated. I know that's something other people have tried to do. I'm going to work on it also, see if I can figure it out. Maybe there's a little jumper in there that we can work on. These are a little bit tricky, getting that to thread in the right way. There we go. As you see, the kyber crystal stays on the whole time. And this is also one of the reasons some of the Savi's workshops lightsaber hilts have a tendency to burn through the batteries. Because that RFID signal is always looking for that crystal, and it'll come on and off as it wants to. So here we go with the switch. Once you activate it, once it looks for it, that light goes off. That RFID stops looking for it because now it's found it. And just like the Savi's workshop, every time you hit it, it looks for that. It looks for that switch. Right. So here is the PCB. Not sure how close we can get to that. If we can get it to focus. This is the PCB. This is the magnetic reed switch, or the sensor that reads the reed switch. And on the back, you can see there's two solder connections right here. These are the two solder connections that I'm using to wire in the magnet, or the push button switch that's on the top. There's one here and there's one here. So there's these two right here. You can see where the gold is. Once you get the switch in your hand, yeah, because it's not gonna focus, but you can see them right there at the top. Those are actually solder connections, and that is how I'm jumpering this magnetic reed switch. These wires are coming from those two solder joints up to my push button right here.